Hi, welcome to the Wood Shop here at Glenwood Springs High School. I'm Matt Jensen, and this video series is on the functions, features, and safe operation of our equipment here in the shop. Alright, in this video, we're going to look at how to use a tape measure to not only measure a piece of wood, but how to mark it as well, getting ready for cuts and the like. So the first thing to notice about a tape measure is that the end will slide, and that's to account for the width or the thickness of the blade at the end. So if I put it up against, or if I pull against it, I still get an accurate measurement. So we want to take that and pull it tight against there, roll it a little bit to get our marks, but that's going to be our first item. We could take it, and if I wanted to measure up from the inside of something, I can push it that way. If I want to get a really accurate measurement, I might line it up so that the edge is right on a line, and now I'd count from the two, so I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4. The only trick with this is remembering that that's not 6, it's 6 minus 2, and doing a little math, so we need to be careful with that. When we go to measure and when we go to mark, we're going to take it and kind of mark it on each edge. So here, if I want to mark at a 5-inch mark, I'm going to take my pencil, I'm going to line it up, and here, because I'm pulling from the end, I'm going to make a little V, so I'm going to come out each side. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to line up my pencil on the mark, and I'm going to do a V like so. So I should have a super sharp V right there. It's hard to see on the wood, but here I've got a V, so I put my mark on my pencil on the 5-inch mark, and then it came up each way. Same thing down here to get my marks. In looking at a tape measure, got a bunch of different marks. So starting from an inch mark, the bar going all the way across the tape measure is a full inch, and then the littlest hashes are a 1/16. The second littlest would be a 1/8, so there's 2/16 in an eighth. And I go to 3/16, and then I get a quarter. So quarter is 4/16 or 2/8, and then 5/16, 6/16 or 3/8, 7/16 to a half, on up to 3/4, on up to the full 4 inches, or to a full inch mark. So each of the smallest tick marks are going to be our 16ths. Second largest, or second smallest is an eighth. Third smallest is a quarter, and then halfway up the tape measure is a 1/2 inch mark, and then all the way across is a full inch mark. So now that we've marked our two V's across here, what we want to do is take an L square. So it looks like this. We have bigger ones that don't have so bulky. It's more like this blade that comes down and around. And we want to line it up on an edge, and we can either use the outside or we can do the inside. Kind of depends on how much room I have. I'm going to line it up on the outside, and I'm going to line it up across my two marks. I'm going to pull it tight. I'm going to have it flat, and I'm just going to draw my line straight across, like so. What that's going to let us do is line it up on our saws so that we can get the proper alignment of the saw blade. So if I wanted to keep the smaller piece, so I know that this piece is going to be 5 inches long, so I might write it on there. I'm going to put an X on this side, just real lightly, because that's the piece that I want to have cut off. I want to throw it away. In that way, I know when I line up my saw blade, because the saw blade's going to have what's called a kerf. And so here you can see from this tooth right here to the outside of this tooth is called the kerf. And it's about 1/8 of an inch, maybe even 3/16 of an inch thick. And so I have to account for that. And so if I put the saw blade on the right side of my line, the piece that I end up with would be a little bit shorter. It'd be about this much shorter than my 5 inches. And that's not going to be okay. So I'm going to mark the cutoff piece so that I know when I bring this over to, say, the chop saw or the table saw, I know to line my blade up on the outside of that line. And when I do that and I cut it all the way down, I know that this piece is exactly 5 inches long. So we're going to take our tape measure, make a mark, make a V off the tape measure at whatever distance we're measuring. We're going to take our square, make a line across the piece that we're cutting so that we can see where we're cutting, and then we're going to make an X on the cutoff side of it so we know which way to line the blade up.